Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Created for This show and podcast. I am so excited to have Sam Munoz with me today. She is one of my nearest and dearest and bestest friends. So you guys will love getting to know her. I met her, I think, a year and a half ago-ish when they were still in Japan. Her husband's in the military. And so we got to know each other via Skype, just like this, and then Voxer. So we kind of actually talk every day now. We're accountability partners and friends, and she is awesome. So welcome to you, Sam. Thanks for joining me. I am so excited to talk to you about your faith, about your business, about all the above. And your cute little daughter. So why don't you tell us about yourself, fill in the gaps that I missed, and we'll go from there.
You didn't miss anything. That was all of me. No, okay. So let's see. Where do I even begin? Well, my name is Sam. You've got that part. And I have one daughter. Her name's Addison. And I'm married to a Marine, as you mentioned, which, yes, that is how we connected. I don't know if you remember this, Danielle, but I was kind of considering joining the Navy.
I do.
And that's because, as I'm sure we'll get into in this conversation, life and God has led me on this crazy evolving path. And I never have known where I'm going to go next. So I went to school for engineering. And really, when I was younger, I thought I would be an engineer. I thought I was going to be a robotics engineer and make prosthetic limbs. In college, I made a robotic hand. And I really thought that was my destiny. And then I realized that living as a military spouse, very long term, my husband wants to stay in forever. We don't even have an ETA on when that's going to end. It just wasn't really realistic with our lives. I couldn't stay somewhere and work. We even tried that. We tried living apart and me working at a place and then him being somewhere else. And it was not a good situation because we love to be around each other because we love each other. So
that's a good thing, right? When you're married,
Totally. So we had our daughter, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. And even though I knew that wasn't really what I wanted to do, and then I started falling in love with this idea of blogging and talking about children's literature, which I've always been interested in. And over time, I've sort of melded that into a couple different things, looking into something I call the intentional bookshelf, and then creating places for people online using my background as an engineer and computer programmer through, I don't know, all of those skills. It's weird because, as I've told you so many times, Danielle, and it seems so complicated, but my path looking back seems very clear now. But in the process, I didn't understand what God was doing with my life. Where am I going? What is my purpose? Have I just wasted all of this time getting an education I don't use? And so on. So that's me in a nutshell. And if you're confused, that's because I'm still where I am in life.
Well, and the amazing thing about God is how he doesn't waste anything. We can learn so much. Even though you went to school and you're not necessarily an engineer right now, you have all of that and you're able to do your business just in a way that those of us who are not engineers can do. So why don't you tell us how you weave your faith into your business, and kind of, you've had such a revelation and such a change in how you're running your business in the last year, which has been so cool to see. So can you sum that up for us?
Totally. And of course, I'm going to give you massive credit for helping me along this journey, because I was in your mentorship, and as your friend, you've really helped me along my path. So let's start at the beginning, where I was just totally afraid about talking about my faith. I'm Catholic, and I've always, especially in college, I've kind of shied away from talking about my faith and what I love and Jesus, because where I went to school was a majority not faithful people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely carried that over into my business. And I was okay, if I want to be successful, I have to segment that part of my life. I have to do separation of church and state, state being my business. And I realized that in doing so, I was doing a disservice almost to my community, because that's such a big part of who I am. And what I talk about is building what, like I said before, an intentional bookshelf, which is all about weaving your values into your bookshelf. And if one of my values is my faith and all of the things that come along with my faith, like kindness and love and respect, how can I not talk about that? It's like completely fake almost. So over time, I've realized that I don't have to say, like, I don't have to be over the top about Jesus and Christianity. I can subtly and respectfully weave the aspects of Christianity that I think are universal truths to all people, faithful or not, and put that into my business in a way that I feel comfortable with, but also without just being like, yeah, you know, I don't talk about Christianity because I don't want to. So yeah, I show people that we have the Bible on the bookshelf and things like that. It's scary. Every time it's getting a little less scary, but in the beginning I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm afraid of losing all these, you know, community members and people being like, oh, she's just talking about Jesus all the time. And I don't know.
Yeah. So we should back up and say you have a book called The Intentional Bookshelf. You wrote a book,
Yes.
like a year ago? November 2016 it came out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Shortly before my book came out, and then you've built a membership off of that. So
Great.
That's, is that also the Intentional Bookshelf, or what's that called?
Intentional Book Club.
Intentional
So
Book
all
Club.
related.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. I just wanted, if people aren't familiar with that, then you can, yeah. So that is awesome. And yes, I agree. It can be so scary and kind of like, I almost get to the point where you're like, okay, if I talk about Jesus, if I talk about my faith, if I, you know, like, what are people going to say? How are they going to respond? Or there's almost like the uncomfortability of like, are they gonna shun me, or are they gonna be okay with it if I know that they're not a Christian, or if I don't know? Like, there's almost that like suspense of what's the reaction gonna be. And you know, I think a lot of us put that on ourselves too, because if we're living out our faith, we are living out who we are. Like, that's our identity and our personality. Like, I'm not going to go up to somebody who's like a basketball player or basketball star and be like, I'm sorry, can you just stop being a basketball player? Like, can you please just not go to the gym that much, or not talk about basketball or whatever? So I think that's, you know, I've definitely felt that too. Like, even last week I was interviewed on a podcast, and she's like, so you talk about your faith, and I'm like, oh boy, where is this gonna go?
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, I trusted her, and I was so thankful that she brought that up, because I was able to say, okay, this is how I do this. And exactly what you said, like exactly what we talked about in the mastermind, is like values and mission statement, and just living out life and adding that in. So cool to hear. And I'm glad that the scariness is starting to fade a little bit. And I don't know if it ever goes away completely, honestly. But yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So how has it, and you've gone through like a kind of a big transition from not sharing at all to sharing. So how has your faith impacted your business? And is it like a visible thing? Is it invisible? How has that been as you've added more Jesus into your business? And how does it make you feel? Like, what has your responses been?
Yeah. Oh, this is such a good question, because it's really good to reflect on all of the awesomeness. I'll say that it is amazing what doing this has done. Like, even I'm just talking like straight numbers, like my community has exploded ever since I've said like, this is what I believe in. And it's exploded with both Christians and non-Christians. I think people really respect when you are true to your identity. Like you were saying before, like people really gravitate towards people that are strong in their convictions and strong in who they are. And ever since I've started talking more about what's really truly important to me, I think people are seeing who I am like more clearly. So from that aspect, it's been amazing. And then just in terms of my own confidence and how I feel, I feel very empowered in the way that I am presenting my business to people. And also just like the words that come out of my mouth feel so much more enlightened and like they are probably from God or of God, because it feels less like I'm coming up with all these ideas on my own, and more like I'm being divinely given them, and I'm like using my platform almost to like spread this information to people. Even though like you might look or think about this idea of like building your child's bookshelf as like something very practical, but I do think that at the end of the day, like I said before, it comes back to your values, which at the end of the day, again, comes back to Jesus. And if you're a Christian person and you want your children to also be Christian and faithful, then finding books that address that faith or those ideals or the 10 Commandments, like that is the way to do it. And so it feels very like not from me in my lips, but from God. So I feel confident. I feel great.
Yeah. Well, and it's made a huge difference even in the way that I am looking at my kids' books now. Not that we had anything super like questionable. And I had gone through your Claim Your Bookshelf challenge. And so I was like looking through some of the books and even just looking at them with a new eye and saying, okay, what is my kid really learning through reading? Like, what are we really teaching? How is it that we're teaching about faith even? Like if we have a Bible, is it, or like a Christian storybook, how is that being framed? Like, is it ultimately showing the truth or is it not? And so that was pretty interesting and enlightening. And I got rid of a couple books because I was like, this is not what I want my kids like Caillou, thinking about the snotty kid who just wants his own way. And you're like, this is, and if you don't have kids, like even thinking about your own bookshelf, like my personal book collection, are there books that are not honoring God? Are there books that are like filling your mind with things that you shouldn't be thinking about? Or, how is it that you're viewing your finances? Like, is there a book on finances that is showing you that it's just not like stewarding your goods in a way that need to be stewarded?
Right.
So for those of you who don't have kids, that's a way you can look at it too, is what is your book collection teaching you? Because I know there's not everybody on that listens is going to have
like,
kids.
How does your bookshelf reflect who you are? Like if you were to pass away and your family members were to get to know you through the books that you read, are they representing what you believe in? And are they reflective of who you were? That's always the way that I think about it, like in terms of your bookshelf. That's
so good. I had never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Instead of what's on my tombstone, what's on my bookshelf. There you go. New marketing for you.
Perfect. Quoted it. Copyright done.
Yeah. So what else has stood out to you as you've gone through the last year, you've made your business and evolved with your book? Like after your book launched, that's kind of when your book business started. And what are some other things that you've learned? I mean, you've had big life changes, like moving from Japan to San Diego to South Carolina.
Yep.
That's big. So you've also built your business in that time frame. What lessons have you learned, and how has God really shown up in what you're doing now?
Well, I really think that it's so interesting because I think that I kind of did like the reverse of how a lot of people explore their faith. In weaving my faith into my business, I've become a more faithful person in my own life, and I see God showing up in my life. And so my business kind of saved me almost in a way, which is weird to say, but like I made friends through my business, such as yourself, who taught me things about God and really helped me forge a relationship with him with respect to what I'm doing for other people. And then it's made me take a step back in my own life and realize, okay, like this is how God can be a part of my everyday life. Like you can ask my husband, like a year and a half ago, I never would have like had a conversation with somebody about my faith. I would have kept it private. I also like wasn't even going to church anymore. Not that I wasn't faithful, but I just like, it just wasn't a priority. And now like through my business and through God showing up in my business, it is one of my highest priorities along with my family and like making sure that we're all like, I don't know, I don't know, being faithful Jesus-like people. It's just so interesting because like it has completely changed my actual life. And just outside of finances, outside of helping others, like I walk in, the steps of Jesus every day instead of like away from it. So I don't know if that really answered your question, but it's changed the way that like my life has been. So what I've learned is that it doesn't really matter where you are in your faith journey, whether you're like 100% like you are like on it, you know that this is like like you're a perfect Christian, let's say, or you're on like the lower end of the spectrum like I was, and you just don't even really know who you are and what you want to do and how God is showing up in your life. Like you can start at any path and weave it into your business, and then you will see like the fruit of that come out in your life. I don't think that those things need to be separate like that. I think that they're all related. This is one life. Like I don't have like a business life and a me life. I have one life. So
yeah, no, that's very true. And I had somebody was talking about their power sheets, and they're like, oh, I have a set of power sheets for my business and I have a set of power sheets for my life. And I'm like, y'all, life is life. Yeah. Like we do Jesus, we do business, we do life all together. There's not like certain goals that are going to be separate from what we're doing.
Yep.
And I think that's so cool that your business, has made such a big impact on you. And then the ripple effect, like if you are walking Jesus, like you said, you're impacting your neighbors, you're impacting the online spaces that you touch. And then your family and so on and so forth. So it's just so cool to hear. Like, it's awesome. So fun.
I feel like I got a gift, and through you and through other people, like there have been people that have been strategically placed in my life, and I know that this is from God, like to help me realize this and then to like just move forward. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. Oh, what an amazing testimony of God's goodness and just how he shows up when you least expect it. Because I don't think that's what you were expecting when you're like, well, I'm just going to hop on the phone with her to like talk to her about Navy stuff and go from there.
Never.
So my tagline of Danielle Roberts is to equip, empower, and encourage. What piece of advice do you have that addresses one of those things that you can share with the people listening to equip, empower, or encourage?
Okay, I don't know how to answer this question. Can you give me like some examples of what people have said so I know which direction to go? Can you do that?
Yes. So I think that somebody else had said like more of the encourage part, like it just keep going, or if you feel like you're not sure what you're doing, like moving forward. Does that help?
Yes, that totally helps.
Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking about this question ahead of time and I was like, I don't actually know what I'm going to say, but okay,
I've had a couple of those before. I'm like, oh gosh,
you're like,
it's my critical thinking.
I can't think on the spot. Okay. I would say allow the Lord to equip you. Allow God to come into your life and like be the words, whether that be like you pray before you go on a live and you just say, like I've done this before, I'm just like, please God, like just let the words come out of me, and I know that they're of you, so like let them come out of me and be the truth and be awesome and exactly what I want to say. So allow God to come into your life and allow him to equip you with the skills that you need. Like be trusting that he knows the path. Like you said in the beginning, I studied engineering and I'm not doing that at all, but I learned skills like organization and structure and systematizing and finding puzzle pieces. And like he had a plan, like he knew what he was doing. So allow him to equip you and just like surrender yourself to him and let him do the work. And like you also do the work and work as a team, and like just, I don't know, allow him to equip you, if that makes any sense at all.
No, that's so good. I could not have said it better myself, so thank you.
I'm pretty sure you could have said it better.
No. Or it would have been like, let me talk to Sam about this and see what it has that makes sense.
Right.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So what is coming up for you next? What do you have through the pipeline? I know you got some stuff for summer coming up.
Oh, I do.
I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie.
That's That's good. Okay, so I didn't talk about this much, but I have the Intentional Book Club, which is like, once you're like, okay, I want to build this beautiful bookshelf for my family, and I want it to have to do with all of my values and our interests and stuff. Where do I find the books? That's what the Intentional Book Club is, and it's a community and resource for parents to go find good books, wholesome books, ones that make sense for you. So that's my like main bread and butter of my business, and I'm growing that to start having people like bring it to their local communities and start fostering this like local space with each other, using the book club to provide the resources, but then making friends, like parenting with literature and learning through that. And then, yes, of course, I've got my like coveted summer reading packs, like a set of books that are specifically curated and chosen by me that have actual value and meat for your kids. And I think I'll let your audience know. I think that the theme is going to be friendship this summer. Last year we did animals as like a test, and it went really well, and everybody was really excited about like parenting with literature and getting this package of books in the mail that are good quality books. And this year I want to do friendship because I think the world could use a little bit of friendship. So that's what's Oh wait, yeah.
Can we have like a whole idea for you? Can you do like the floss friendship bracelets? Like how to make friendship bracelets?
Oh my gosh, such a good idea. Yes.
That'd be so cool. I remember those from like, I think I made them in high school with like the intricate little.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and
I never made them, but I did receive them from friends and I always really liked them.
Well, when you're here, I will teach you how to make friendship bracelets.
Yes, that's going to be awesome. Okay. Oh, I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I like to, and I don't know if you've included this, like if you've picked out your books yet, but I love how you intentionally add different topics that I'm really passionate about, like culture and different races and gender equality, like justice issues, which are huge to God. Like I was reading today and he was in, I think Isaiah, it was like, I love justice. I love peace. And, I think it's really cool when we're able to add those social justice issues into our kids, into things that we're reading. Just as a reminder of like, we're all made equal. God was so creative when he made us all different colors. So yeah, that's really cool. I like what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. So tell everybody website where they can find you and all that goodness. And thank you for sharing with us your sneak peek, because my kids will be excited. They really like the one that they got last year. Like we still have I think we've read the one book like every day this last week.
That's awesome. Okay, so people can find me at addisonreads.com and everywhere on the internet at Addison Reads. Although my name is not Addison, I get a lot of people messaging me like, "Hi, Addison," and I'm like, "Nope, my name's Sam."
Actually, Addison's my daughter.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do when we eventually, hopefully, have another baby. I guess I'm gonna have to like expand the brand, or we're just gonna keep it Addison Reads. I can just have two babies named Addison. That's probably what's gonna happen.
You could do both first names Addison and then like go by middle names.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's going to be hard, I think. Is that even legal? I don't know. Probably illegal, but.
I would say so, because if you have like a family of Marys and then Mary Catherine, Mary Kate, Mary.
Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. So it's going to work. There we go. All right. We better hope I have another girl, I guess. So.
Yeah. Or it could get,
Yeah.
All right. Well, world issues for figuring out later. On that note, now that we're like discussing family, which is all a part of business too. So
much.
It's funny. It weaves together.
It does.
Blends. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on with me and sharing with my audience about you and Jesus and all the goodness that's coming out of Addison Reads. So I will have links in the show notes and then in the information as well on YouTube. So
yeah,
fun, all the places. Okay, thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much.